You watch the style. You watch this man. He's a bull raiser, bull fighter, and this isn't to tease. Gregory Rumohr, Rio Vista, Texas. Up Canadian Texan. Hip, hip.
Fear is the greatest thing that I've ever had to compete with. It's never been the bull, it's fear. And for those guys that tell you that they ain't scared or you know, they don't get the fear factor in there, I tell you what, they're either lying to you or they're crazy. One or the other. I can give one exception in my mind that I've never seen fear in him, but it's just one guy. And I'm sure he has to deal with some big negative factor, but it didn't fear. And that's Greg Rumohr.
Greg Rumohr was born June 23, 1961 in Cereal, Alberta, Canada. The youngest of 4 children born to Gordon and Grace Rumohr, and eventually the family settled in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta. At an early age, Greg had an athletic ability that would involve him in many different sports. He was an Alberta Junior Hockey League All-Star with the Fort Saskatchewan Traders, and at the age of 11, he stepped into the boxing ring. Over the years, he captured 4 Golden Glove Boxing Championship titles, along with a Junior Olympic Boxing Championship for Alberta. Greg's athletic ability, combined with the discipline he acquired through the years in the boxing ring, became great assets to his rodeo career. Growing up, Greg spent a lot of time at the racetrack, where his father, Gordon, raced pony wagons. From the racetrack to the rodeo arena, watching the rodeo clown is where Greg's desire to try his hand at being a bullfighter matured. At the age of 23, he decided that he wanted to fulfill his dream of being a rodeo bullfighter. And in 1984, he went to Rex Dunn's bullfighting school in Oklahoma, where he learned the basics he needed to begin a career in the rodeo arena. He returned to Alberta, where he worked many amateur rodeos, some being for Hall of Fame stock contractor Vern Franklin. Vern knew there was something special about Greg, and in 1985 signed for Greg to get his CPRA-PRCA membership. Greg worked for Franklin Rodeo for many years, being mentored in and out of the arena and learning what it takes to be a bullfighter. His competitive and aggressive style was one to be admired. In 1986, Greg went to his first bullfighting competition in Regina, Saskatchewan, where he won the Canadian Western Agribitions freestyle bullfighting title, and returned to successfully defend his title in 1987 and again in 1988. But it was the Wrangler Bullfight Tour that had become a dream of Greg's, and he was determined to become part of it. 1989 would be a special year for Greg Rumohr. He met Donna Johnson, and together they would embark on a journey that would last over a quarter century. Greg then got the opportunity to compete at 2 Wrangler bullfights in the United States. But for a bullfighter to be eligible to qualify for the National Finals Rodeo, he had to compete in at least 7 Wrangler bullfights. Greg's big break came later that year when his friend and mentor, bullfighter Rex Dunn, was injured and could not finish the season. Rex gave Greg his 3 remaining bullfights, and after, stock contractor Benny Butler hired Greg for 2 rodeos. He was able to meet the 7 bullfight requirement and qualified for his first National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas, finishing the year in 5th place overall. The following year, 1990, Greg returned to the National Finals Rodeo, this time as the season leader. It was one of the most memorable performances in Wrangler bullfight history. Greg held that position through all 4 performances of the National Finals Rodeo and became the Wrangler Bullfight Champion, the first and only time a Canadian would win the gold buckle in bullfighting. Between 1989 and 2000, Greg Rumohr would qualify for the National Finals Rodeo 11 times in 12 years, including a record 9 consecutive years from 1989 to 1997. In December 1995, Greg and Donna were married, and Greg ended up as the reserve champion of the world. He would be the reserve champion of the world again in 1997. 1998 would be another extra special year for Greg Rumohr. Although it would be the only year Greg would miss qualifying for the National Finals Rodeo, it was of little consequence, as he and Donna were blessed with the birth of their first daughter, Rayleigh. Greg returned to the National Finals in 1999, again finishing the year as the reserve champion of the world, and again in 2000 when the Wrangler Bullfight competition ultimately ended. Even when the Wrangler Bullfights ended, Greg continued to fight bulls at rodeos all over North America. In 2005, Greg and Donna were again blessed, this time with the birth of their second daughter, Ruby, and Greg continued to work rodeos in Canada and the United States that he held near and dear to his heart. Among them, the Kansas Biggest Rodeo in Phillipsburg, Kansas, the Buffalo Bill Rodeo in North Platte, Nebraska, that he worked for 22 years until his retirement in 2011 at the age of 50. On May 11, 2015, a tragic accident claimed the life of Greg Rumohr. He was just 53 years old. Over his career, Greg Rumohr was well known and respected in the bullfighting industry for his athletic ability, aggressive mindset, and fearless attitude. Despite his many accomplishments, he was most proud of the life he had built in Rio Vista, Texas, with his wife Donna and 2 daughters, Rayleigh and Ruby. Tonight we are pleased to recognize Greg Rumohr as a legend into the Canadian Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame.